And welcome back everybody to part 2 of my Armistice Arcane review video. I believe I had left off describing what had happened when Rose was taken into effect the poison that was in her tea. And yeah, that very problematic. But anyway, made it into the room. Everybody cleared a path. She was on the floor hallucinating. She was talking to all of us, but she was referring to us as saints. It was very strange. She couldn't recognize our faces because she thought that we were some of the Catholic saints. And I believe at one point she thought Hannah was Mary. She thought somebody was Mary. It got weird. The poison was affecting her in a very interesting way. I don't think it was so much killing her as it was messing with her mind. I don't think it was affecting her system as bad as it could have. Then again, we may have caught it in time so that it didn't. In any case, we got her back up, we got it out, and she was okay. Now, the next big event, the next big plot event for Frank was concerning Hannah and the fact that she was spending way too much time with, well, at least in Frank's opinion, with another guy who unfortunately turned out to be a chronomancer. Big no-no. We don't abide those people. So it turns out that she was visiting him frequently. Didn't know it at the time, but he had figured out how to channel Hannah's dead husband in some sense, and that's why she kept going back to see him. Frank didn't know anything about it. He just didn't like the fact that, you know, if she was interested in Frank so much, what was she doing with this other guy? I went after Viola, her daughter, to try and get more information out of her, see if she knew anything, knew what the guy was about, what they were doing, but she didn't know anything, so dead end. Couldn't pursue that anymore, so alright, moving on to new methods of finding out what was going on. At one point, I found the chronomancer, the guy who was playing the chronomancer, and had a nice little chit-chat with him real quick for about 30 seconds or so, let him know who I was. And he's like, oh no, I know who you are. And I got in real close, and I was like, yeah, and I know who you are too. And I know what you're doing, and I don't like it. And without missing a beat, he was like, don't touch me. And it was great. It was this rivalry happening in like a split second. It was beautiful. So as time went on, that all revealed itself at the next big thing that I'm about to tell you about. The huge, big to-do banquet Saturday night. Wow, what an event. Let me tell you, they pulled out all the stops. String quartet in period-accurate clothing, dresses, tuxedos, very formal, and they were so good. They were so good. I've never been like I've been to shows that had an orchestra playing, but I've never been to anything that was just something that was orchestral in a way, just like pure string instruments, or just, you know, a full symphony, a full orchestra. And I know that's not what this was, but very seldomly have I ever been able to sit down and just listen to classically played music on instruments that have been around for centuries, and it moves you. Doesn't matter what the reason was that we were there. I just sat there and I listened to it, and just for me personally, it was gorgeous. It was, now I know why everybody during those times enjoyed that sort of thing, because if you give it a chance, it can speak to you. And it was just an unbelievable experience to be able to be that close to it and just enjoy everything that was going on around us. But back to more pressing matters at the banquet. They had the string quartet. They had a full spread, buffet dinner style, but really classy stuff. It was beautiful. And a big open area in the middle. All the tables were placed around it for classical dancing, which is what a lot of people did, because thanks to Erica earlier in the day teaching everybody how to do some of the formal dancing from that period. Some people who had tried it out again back on the dance floor. And there were a lot of things happening behind the scenes, as it were, at that dinner. Lots of intrigue. One of the things that was happening to Frank, to start off with, was he kept getting propositioned by random women to just have a dance, and yet they knew who he was, and they knew his reputation, obviously, because at the beginning of the game, everyone was like, "Oh, Sentinel's bad," blah. But as time went on, like I said, the tide of public opinion was changing gradually. And some of these women were just bold as hell, and they just got right up in him, and they were just like, "Hey, Frank, you want to dance?" What? I don't know how. Probably not a good... Shut up, we're going on the dance floor. The first dance I got in was with my friend Kim. Her character's name was Celsi. She was a mermaid of sorts. But she was able to maintain a form where she could have legs and walk around and be out of water. And we had a dance, and it went well. And things were quiet for a while. And then the explosion happened. The Chronomancer, I guess, lost control. And the personality of Hannah's dead husband came out full force. And she couldn't help it. She was like, "Oh, no, my God, it's you. Oh, where have you been?" And he just took off because the two sides of him were fighting. And he was like, "I can't do this anymore." Then just bolted. And she took off after him. And, of course, it's Hannah. So all the Sentinels are like, "We gotta go." Dropped everything. And we followed them. They actually went... We had access to the roof of the hotel, which was great, because if you needed some sort of a scene that was dramatic, private, you could just head up to the roof, and we could do it there. And that's exactly what happened. Everybody ended up on the roof, and they're having their moment on the roof. I don't know what happened specifically, because from my point of view, I get up there, and it's like, well, you know, she's got her husband back, and I guess things are going to be fine with them now, and I'm just going to go about my business. And I turned my back on him, and I went back downstairs. And the fun didn't stop there, let me tell you. I get back down to the dinner. Things are kind of okay for a while. And then my friend April, who was playing, I believe the character's name was Catalina, who was a vampire in transition, I want to say. She started out the game as like somebody who had been bitten, but she was kind of holding it back, kind of still in control a little bit. And then I don't know what happened, but right before the dinner happened, I guess she was turned completely, because now she was full-on vampire, so she had access to all vampire abilities and whatnot. And we had talked it out beforehand how this was going to go down, because we thought it was going to be a great idea to get everybody out of their seats and keep them on their toes. And sure enough, it did. But what happened was, we worked it out so that April would just kind of like wade through the crowd, kind of wistfully, and you know, like a plume of smoke, kind of just. And she made her way over to Frank, and didn't really ask for a dance, just kind of took it. And that was when she used the whole vampire hypnosis sort of thing, and kind of took Frank off guard, and the dancing was going well for maybe about 30 seconds or so. And that's when Catalina, who was like, oh, well, I've got him under my power now, and I can do whatever I want, she was just full on, and like came straight for my neck. And that's when I was like, whoa, what the crap? And then kind of just used the momentum that she was coming at me with, and I kind of sidestepped, and I was like, whoosh, let her just keep on going. I was like, oh, vampire, and I drew my pistol, and boom, right on the dance floor. I don't think it was a fatal shooting. I don't think we had discussed that we were going to do a fatal shooting, but it was enough to keep her on the ground, on the floor. And of course, as expected, it just stops everybody in their tracks. Like, oh, what the hell? I think I heard a few screams, but everybody definitely stopped what they were doing, and they looked over like, what the hell? And I think it was the woman who had turned her vampiric master, came running up and just got in my face like, how dare you? She's brand new. She was just turned. She has no control yet. What are you doing? And so, keep better tabs on your people. She came at me. She tried to bite my throat. I defended myself. What? I'm not ashamed. And that's how that went. Now, moving on to something else that ended up being a side plot throughout the entire weekend. Frank was dealing with so much crap all weekend. It became, and it still is to this day, everybody refers to it as Frank's bad day. It was just one thing after another where he was trying to put out fires left and right. And sometimes it worked, sometimes it kind of worked, and sometimes it just didn't work at all. And Frank kind of just had to walk away with just... and a face palm to infinity. I believe my friend Tasha, who played another member of the Sentinels, we're going to get to her in a second. She is an amazing artist, and she drew up a piece that I think is actually going to be put into play by the Beacon Hill players, who are technically actors, and they're a faction in-game. She drew cover art for the playbill that would be for the show Frank's Bad Day, and it's kind of amazing. And it's got Frank in the middle just because he's pissed at everything, at the world, surrounded by the four women who were just trying to be all over him all weekend. And that leads me to another point. There was a member of the Esoteric Institute, another faction in-game, who I guess made mention that she thought Frank was dark and dreamy and brooding, and the tall, dark, and handsome archetype. And she let it slip, and apparently other members of the Institute would not leave her alone about it for the entire weekend. And there was a point where I guess I walked into the room and I didn't hear it, but her counterpart was just like, oh, is that the dreamy sentinel you were talking about? Like, as loud as she possibly could. I don't know how I didn't catch it. I guess I was just too focused on what I was doing at the time, but that was a thing, apparently. And yeah, they used that to constantly mess with Frank. Frank got a love letter. Actually, I think he got a couple, but one was made to seem like it was from Catalina, talking about Dark Prince, and I'm sitting here going, there's only one person that's going to talk like that, and I think I know who it is. Turns out April was kind of in on it, and she helped make the fake letter. It was brilliant. Things were going on behind my back that I had no idea were happening, but they were fantastic because they threw me for a loop as to how to respond, and they led into other events later on in the weekend. It was brilliantly done. I love you guys for it. It was great. Now, after dinner, another big event was Viola, Hannah's daughter's exorcism, because she had been talking about hearing voices in her head, and they were getting worse, and you know, Han and Frank, we want to take care of her, make sure that she's not in pain. So we organized this big exorcism event in one of the rooms, and things got going, and everybody was chanting and chiming in and doing what needed to be done. And the guy commanding everything, he was telling us what to do, and it was great. And as it went on, it turns out, yeah, we pulled the demon out, and then when it seemed like he was out of Viola and in this guy, somebody else stepped in and was like, I know you, I've seen you before, and I've seen this before, and this is where I stop you. And then he reaches out and tries to pull the demon into him, and it was just bam, bam, bam. The hits kept coming, just one after another, and I'm sitting here going, what do? What happened? Not expecting it, not expecting what was going to happen next, who was going to jump in, who was going to do what. But that's the best part of it. You have no idea what anybody else in game has planned, and you better be ready to roll with it, because that's what makes these things so great, is just, it's improv left and right. You're given a guideline, and then you're just told, go, have fun. Like Tatsu from the Turtles movie, go, play. And then a little while after that, I think it was right after that, turns out Hannah got poisoned. It took effect, and she just dropped. But because it took longer for her to realize it was in her system than it did with Rose, she was much further along. So when she dropped, she had like maybe 20 minutes to live, because that's how serious it got. So we were scrambling, trying to find a healer, somebody who could draw the poison out, somebody who could cure it. Well, just everybody screaming and running around like, somebody get a medic! Ah, what's going on? And if I remember correctly, the end result was there were other people who volunteered to like get cut and have it drawn into them to dilute it in some way. And then it ended up just being a chain of something like 3 to 6 people on the floor dealing with the poison. It was resolved. I don't remember how exactly, but at one point there was a handful of people on the floor dealing with the effects of the poison because they were trying to draw it out of Hannah. And again, something I never expected, because I came into game thinking everybody hates the Sentinels and they're all just gonna let us die because they don't want us here. Not the case. Not the case at all. It was very interesting to see that. Oh, my apologies. Going back to the dinner. This was my first real bad experience with bleed. Bleed is when you start to have trouble differentiating between what's going on in-game versus how you should be acting and what reality is out of game. The line starts to blur a little bit. But it was during dinner again, and another one of the others showed up, and it was this female spirit who came in and was possessing women. Excuse me. She was possessing women and forcing them to just randomly kill men. I watched as one woman she possessed just grabbed a fork, came up behind some dude, and just right in the back. And she was going around the banquet hall just plucking who she wanted. And the Sentinels are going around making sure that everybody who is attacked is okay and stabilized. And while we're doing that, people are coming to us like, what are you doing about this? This is your problem. You should fix this. This is your specialty. What's going on? Why aren't you helping? And I'm sitting here going, this is new. I've never seen this. Have you seen this before? I've never seen this before. What was... So we kind of just tried to formulate a plan on the fly, and I kind of got pushed to the head of everybody that was following the woman as she walked out of the room. And what do I do? What do I do? How can I fix this? What do I do? And the only thing I could think of was maybe if I knocked out the woman she was controlling, it might break the hold. Maybe. So I had a prop. My friend Anthony was playing. His character's name is Brother Crane. He was a Sentinel as well, but he had this this set of brass knuckles. It had crucifixes on it, Latin inscriptions, very much looking like it came from some holy sect of fighters. I don't, like straight from the Vatican itself. So I used that, pulled it out, and I made like I was hitting the woman in the back of the head, and then the mechanics kicked in where I told the woman who was playing the other, I said, here's what I'm doing. Does this have any effect? And the NPCs, the people playing the characters who are not players, she's got knowledge about what works and what doesn't. So when I told her what I did, her response was, nope, no effect. Well, I'm at a loss. I got nothing left. I don't know what else to do, because nothing else that everybody tried worked. So, what now? I had nothing. That was the only idea I had, so she ended up walking away with this woman, who was now knocked out. But the bleed came when one guy, again, was like, what are you doing to fix this? How come you're not helping? And this was after I already cold-cocked the woman in the back of the head. And I just whirled around, and I was like, did you not just see what I tried to do? As loud as I possibly could to try and make a point. But I had forgotten that the area that we were in the hotel, was technically not part of game. It was the hotel bar, and there were just regular people sitting at the bar trying to enjoy a drink, and I just screamed my head off. And that was when I kind of needed to be pulled aside, and one of the writers, one of the people running the game, was like, all right, take a breather, calm down. Yeah, no, you're right. And I did. I collected myself, got back in the game. Everything was fine. But yeah, for a moment, for that one split second, I actually was fully immersed into my character, and I had just completely forgotten where I was. And that can happen. You really got to keep a grip on yourself. And if you feel like it's slipping, then you need to remove yourself and step back for however long you need to regain your composure. But there are, like, the people who run these games know that that's a thing. And if you need to go talk to somebody, they want you to do that. They want you to be okay. So moving on, Kaza. Oh my God, her character Rose. we had a character tie, and it was a lot of fun. Even during game, there were moments where Rose and Frank were kind of just shooting the shit and just having a friendly conversation, just talking about life. And because Frank's the grump, Rose was constantly trying, oh, come on, Frank, you can smile, have fun for once. I don't wanna. But in her backstory, she came across somebody who was mauled by a creature of the night in the middle of the road at nighttime. And unfortunately, she showed up and tried to stabilize this person, but she wasn't successful. So she got blood on her. She looked like she was the one who had caused it, because that's right when the cops showed up. So they see her covered in blood, holding this body, and immediately, oh, well, you did it. So now she's being held in the police station for questioning, and Frank was the one who got her out and convinced her to join the Sentinels so she could help hunt down what this thing was and avenge everything that had happened to her. And we had gotten together, because Kaza doesn't live that far, and now we put a video together about that. So it's not finished, but here's a bit of the finished part. So that was a lot of fun. We actually went up to Yale and shot guerrilla style, and that was a while ago, back when it was cold out. But it was a lot of fun. I brought up the idea, and she was like, yes, 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 let's do it. And that's why I love her so much. She's so passionate about this as well. She's been doing this for probably about as long as I have. I've just been gaming. She's been doing this whole video thing and reviews for about as long as I've been gaming. So we collaborated on this project, and we've got a lot more collaborations coming in the future. That's going to be a lot of fun. I cannot wait. We're going to bring old characters from another game into a new game and breathe life back into them that way. So the end of the game was signing of an accord. Everybody agreed to certain stipulations, like this is how things are going to be run from now on. And then right when that was about to happen, hey, here's the Atlantean Accord from Europe, and they're like, we warned you last time because you were stupid and you caused problems doing this, and we don't want to see it happen again, so we're going to declare war on you. And they calmed down, we talked to them, we got them to agree, okay, maybe war is not such a good idea right now. Okay, we'll take a breather. And then the last thing that happened, everybody was in the big meeting room, and Frank just got this crazy idea, seeing another other sitting there, and he was like, all right, that's it, I gotta end this now, and was about to, he drew on her and was about to fire, and my man Benji, who played Abraham, the leader of the Eclipse, big old werewolf looking dude, just was trying to protect her, gets up and like, bruh, and like smacks the gun out of Frank's hand and punches me square in the chest, and the effect was I get knocked 20 feet across the room into the wall, like 4 ribs are shattered, fall just into a heap, and everybody's like, ugh. Hannah comes running, the Sentinels are coming running, and I'm laying there like blood. Probably not gonna make it out of this, but I got stabilized. They got me sitting upright, and when Abraham was about to deal the final blow, because he was tired of Frank's shit, like, just, I'm done with the Sentinels. You guys caused my people so much problems. I can't do this anymore. And he was about to just tear us all a new one. And then another other showed up, Bloody Mary, came through a mirror and grabbed the dude by the collar and just, you're coming with me. Game. And that's what we have to deal with now for round 2. But being my first Nordic LARP experience, I cannot say enough good things about it. Just my mind was blown with everything that they took into consideration. Everybody's safety, mechanics. They had a room set up with mood lighting that, depending on the color of the mood lighting, it would force you to, like, certain emotions that you had would be amplified, like by 10 at least. But they were all different emotions based on the lights, the color of the lights that were on at the time. They had green lights, red lights, blue lights, magenta lights. It was nuts. They thought of every single possible detail. It was, oh man, it was great. Kathy and all you guys over at Peculiar Crossroads, again, not enough good things to say about you guys. I love the game. I love the concept. I love everything about it. And I cannot wait for round 2. That being said, I'm actually going to be putting together a Ko-Fi page to help with trying to get to more of these games, because I want to give you guys more content, and the only way for me to give you guys more content is to experience more of these games. I go to a few on the regular, and I'll be making videos about those, but I want to expand. I want to get out and try more. I want to try some of the ones over in the UK, because I've been hearing really good things about those. But at the end of the day, you know, after all my necessities are taken care of, I'm kind of left dry. And if you guys can help me out, I would really appreciate that. I'm going to be starting to make some projects that I can make as thank you gifts for you, if you like. I would really appreciate it if, at all possible, you guys can help me out. That being said, I appreciate your time. And thanks for watching, thanks for listening. And not all those who wander are lost. And I will see you when you show up at my door again. Good night.